Hi, my name's Paul Grogan. Welcome to the Gaming Rules monthly video log for the month of June 2020. I'm recording this video log on the 17th of June and it's going to cover everything that I've done since the last video log, which was recorded roughly around the start of May. So it's about the last 5 weeks worth. Now, before we start talking about the games, it's important just to recognise what's going on in the world at the moment. To obviously say that I personally and Gaming Rules as a company and as a brand do not tolerate any form of racism, sexism or anything like that. Black lives do matter, and many of us, including myself, can learn a lot from what's going on at the moment, and we can all get better. Now, moving on to the games. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about all of the games that I have played since the last video log, but actually what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to combine it with a lot of the content that I've made first. So let's get the glasses on and I'm going to go through them if you're sitting comfortably. First thing is, and this is going back quite a while, so this covers all the way from the 9th of May to the afternoon of the 17th of June. In other words, just a few hours ago. So I have, on the 9th of May, which was a Saturday, I did a live solo playthrough of AEON'S End. This is on the channel now if you want to go and watch it. And as some of you may know, that I've talked about AEON'S End a number of times. It is my favourite cooperative deck building game. I love the rules of the game. I love the setting of the game. I love the way the game plays. I think it's a great game. And Stronghold Games asked me to create basically a video on playing through a solo, because AEON'S End is a game with massive, loads and loads of expansions. There's like 3 different versions, loads of expansions, and I thought, right, if I'm going to start doing video content for this game, and I might do some more, but right now what I'm going to do is the first video I'm going to do is going right back to basics, the core set of AEON'S End, 2nd edition, but just the core set, no expansions, and I'm literally going to play through the scenario which it recommends you play through for your first game. So if you want to know all about AEON'S End, that is the best place to start, because yeah, it's a tutorial and a playthrough of just the core set. That's on the channel now. And yeah, AEON'S End is a game I very much enjoy playing, and I'm looking to do more AEON'S End content at some point, if given the time, and obviously depends what people want to see. On the 11th of May, I played the new edition of MAHARAJA. In the afternoon, I played a game of it where I taught a couple of friends of mine, because I'd been sent the rule book and I'd learned how to play, and then we played a game of it using Tabletopia. And then later on that day, in order to coincide with when the Kickstarter was going live, because this was a sponsored playthrough by Cranio Creations, who put MAHARAJA on Kickstarter, and it was successful. That Kickstarter is now finished. I played a game in late afternoon with Simone Luciani, the designer or the developer of the new version, and Daniel Newman over in America, that's a fan of Cranio Creations and the games that they do. So yeah, so that is on the channel now. Now, I've got the original MAHARAJA game, and there were a couple of issues with it. It is a little dated in some areas, and Simone has been working on developing that original game and basically making this new version. So that is MAHARAJA. If you're interested in that, the video's on the channel. I'm not trying to push the Kickstarter because that's already finished. On the 12th of May, I had the opportunity to play Dale of Merchants. Now, Dale of Merchants is a deck building game designed by Sammy Laxo and published by Snowdale Design. And again, there's Dale of Merchants 1, Dale of Merchants 2, Dale of Merchants 3, and they're all compatible with one another. It's a bit like Dominion in a way that each pack you get just gives you extra new cards, and you can mix and match and play however you want. Now, this is a game which I've had my eye on a while, because I've heard a number of people saying it's good. And people have said, oh, you've got to check it out. It is really good, and you need to have a look at it. I'm a sort of a follower of what Sammy does. I wouldn't go out of my way and say, oh, I'm a big fan of his games, because I haven't actually delved that deep into them. But I reached out to him and I basically said to him, look, this is a game which I've been curious to play. I've heard that there's a good tabletop simulator mod for it, and oh boy, is it good. It's brilliant. It's really good. It's probably one of the best mods, if not the best mod I've played of a game. It's really well scripted. It does everything for you. And I said, but how about if you've got an hour free, we'll do a live stream where you teach me how to play the game. So this was not a sponsored playthrough. I basically offered him the opportunity because I was keen on trying the game out, and I wanted to produce some more content for the channel. And he agreed to it, and it was all good. And then I realised he's actually going on to Kickstarter with the game, and I'm like, ah, right, okay, so normally this would be a chargeable service because I'm helping promote your Kickstarter, but I'd actually offered it and agreed it before that, so it wasn't a problem at all. And I really enjoyed the game. It's a game I want to play more of, and it is on Tabletop Simulator if you're interested. That is Dale of Merchants, Snowdale design, and it's an approved Tabletop Simulator mod because Sammy actually used it to teach me how to play the game. But yeah, really clever little deck builder. Next up, and I think I'm going to cover this at the end, but I've played Tainted Grail, I think, 4 times in the last 5 weeks. It's either 4 or 5 times. So I'm going to talk about this at the end because I've got quite a bit to say on it. So we'll skip that for now, but the first time I played it was on the 12th, which is why it's here. On the 13th of May, I did a live stream where I played a 2-player version of Lancaster. Yeah, Lancaster, the game which people said don't ever play it without 4 or 5 people. Well, I'm doing a review. I was doing a review of Lancaster. I'll talk about that later. But in order for me to do the review, I thought, well, I've got to try playing it at 2-player. I can't really do a review and not mention the 2-player version, so I wanted to try it. So I played a 2-player game of Lancaster with Graham Charlton, who's a fan of the game, and that is on the channel now. If you want to know how it went, I'd check out the review because I do cover Lancaster in more detail in the review. That is all on the channel now. But yeah, I did that on the 13th. On the 15th, I did a solo playthrough of Mini Express. Now, I've already covered Mini Express on the channel. I did a 5-player playthrough of it, but obviously with lockdown and everything else and me getting more into solo games, I thought, oh, there's a solo mode for this game as well. I wonder if they want me to cover the solo mode. And they said, yeah, if you can cover the solo mode near the end of the campaign, that would be great. So that's what I did. The campaign had a few days left to run and I covered the solo mode of Mini Express. Now, the solo mode was still in development at the time and it might still be in development. I'm not sure. They might have finalised it by now. So yeah, I got to play a solo game of Mini Express to see how it works because generally speaking, these kind of train games with shares and everything else are really only for 3 or more players. So it was interesting to see how they got that to work. And it did work. So yeah, that's on the channel now. And more news about Mini Express in the giveaway later on in this video. 15th, I played a 3-player game of Trickerion with Stevie and Mohammed. And we used the Magician's powers. And again, the reason why I've played Trickerion is it was another game which my Patreon supporters voted on as a game that I would review. And therefore I wanted to play, I'd already done a couple of videos on it in the past. I've already done the solo game last month and I did another playthrough of it and I did a tutorial and playthrough of it a few months ago. But I hadn't really used the Magician's powers until I played it, 4 years ago. So I organised another game playing against a couple of other Patreon supporters from around the world and we played using Magician's powers. And again, I did that in order for me to prepare so that I had enough information before doing the review. So yeah, Trickerion, great game. I do talk about it more in the review. Not about some issues with the game itself, just some issues with me and why I can't really play the game that well. So I feel the review is a fair review and I do say the game is a good game. And I know so many people who say, oh, they love the game. It's in their top favourite games of all time. And it is a good game. There's just something about it which doesn't sit well in my mind that I just can't seem to work it out. And as I say, that's on me more than the game. But anyway, I cover that in more detail in the review. Okay, so on the 19th, 26th and the 2nd of June, AEON'S End Legacy. So this is the AEON'S End Legacy campaign that I'm playing with Rick and Victoria. We're using Tabletop Simulator because they're not allowed to come around to my house. I have AEON'S End Legacy over there in the corner. But yeah, we're not playing with the physical version because we can't. So we're playing through the campaign. Now, without any spoilers, we are currently on... No, I can't even say that without it being a spoiler. We are about to do the last chapter, okay? And we're not doing it this week, but I think next week we're going to be doing the last chapter. And as I mentioned at the start of this video, I love AEON'S End. And AEON'S End Legacy is a fantastic... It's, at the moment, it's probably my favourite Legacy game that I've played. I love the way that it develops and I love the way the characters work. And one of the best things about it is, unlike some other Legacy games where you've got to really know the game before you dive into Legacy, with AEON'S End Legacy, you can know nothing because it actually teaches you all of the rules of AEON'S End and it unlocks certain parts of Aeon's End as you go along. So it starts off simple and it builds on that as you go along. Yeah, absolutely loving it. We are currently undefeated. Now, we are getting the rules right. And we've had a couple of very, very close calls, but we are actually undefeated so far. We've got one chapter left. I'll let you know how it goes in the next video log. Next up, the 19th, and then a couple of more times after this, I covered the Dresden Files card game. Now, this is a digital adaptation, but I am talking about it here because the digital adaptation of the Dresden Files card game is an exact copy of the actual physical board game, which is a card game, okay? So that's why I'm talking about it here. In this video log, I'm not going to talk about the computer games that I've been playing, not in this bit anyway, but I am covering this here because, as I say, it is a direct translation. And I'm really liking it. Now, the Dresden Files card game, I've probably mentioned this before. I borrowed a friend's copy of the physical card game and really didn't like it. And was really disappointed by it. And then when the digital version came out, I thought, oh, okay, I like Dresden Files. I really like the Dresden Files setting. It's a set of novels for those who don't know, and audio books as well, and comics. There are some graphic novels for it as well. Yeah, but it's a set of novels by Jim Butcher. I love the theme of it. I love the setting of it and everything else. And the books are fantastic. So I thought, I'll give it another go. And then playing the digital version, I got a new appreciation for the game. And I'm not saying the problems that are with the game have gone away, because I think they are still there. It's just I've sort of got a new appreciation for it, and the fact that it is a puzzle game and you're trying to solve a puzzle game. I personally don't feel it's very thematic, and I know some people will argue against that, but I like the game as a puzzle game. I've done a few videos on the channel, so if you're interested in knowing more about Dresden Files, it's a cooperative card game, then go and check out some of the videos on my channel. I've done a couple of solo ones, and then the last one I did was actually with a couple of other people. Yeah, it was with Hilmar in Iceland and Matt over in America. And we actually played just using my computer and just using the app on my computer. And I was sharing my screen over Skype with them so that they could see what was going along. And we played it together. And it was brilliant. I mean, the game was still the same, but the fact that we were talking to each other and then they were coming up with suggestions and we were working out together how we were going to do this puzzle, which is something that I get a lot of satisfaction over that. So anyway, Dresden Files card game, that is available. You can get the app. If you want to get the app, that's available now. I've also played a few games of Through the Ages recently. Now, again, I'm not going to talk about... I'm playing a lot of games of Through the Ages on the app. We're currently in the middle of a tournament, which has been organised by one of my Patreon supporters. Thank you very much, John. So yeah, I'm playing a number of games of Through the Ages at the moment using the digital app. But over the last few weeks, I've actually done 3 videos online where I've been playing it. So the first one I did was... it was a beginner's guide. That's kind of what it was. It was me playing a solo game where I was going to give people some beginner's tips on how to get started. So kind of a bit like a tutorial, but also kind of here's some tips about what you might want to do. You might want to focus on science earlier on. And as I was going through the decisions that I was taking in the game, I was talking through them and I was explaining what I'm doing. Now, I'm by far no means the best Through the Ages player in the world, but I think that's actually good for the video, because although the advice that I gave, some experts might go, oh no, Paul did the wrong thing there, he should have done this instead. I'm not trying to appeal to experts of the game. I'm trying to appeal to people who are in the position where they've got the game and they're absolutely flummoxed by it because it's just overwhelming because there's so much going on. So anyway, I did a video and that was a good game. I intended the stream to last about an hour and a bit, and it was about 3 hours. Oh, exhausted by the end of it, but that's on the channel now. And then I did a 2-player playthrough with Tyler from CGE, and we split that into 2 parts. So that's on the channel as well. That is me playing a 2-player game against Tyler. And that, yeah, you can see how a 2-player game works out rather than the solo game. And we talk through our moves so you can see what we do. And that was a great game because things were going one way and then a certain thing happened, and it was a very tense game, that one. CGE basically sponsored those streams by offering a giveaway. Now that giveaway is over now, but thank you very much again to CGE Czech Games Edition for sponsoring that. People who basically watched the videos, got answers to questions which they filled in a form, and they could win a copy of the game. So yeah, that's all good. Next up, on the 21st, was something I was very much looking forward to, and then ended up being quite disappointing. And this was, we did a live stream of Heroquest. So Heroquest is a game for many of us that we got into in the 80s, and we played it and we had very, very fond memories of it, because Heroquest predates so many games. And ultimate respect to the game, because from Heroquest and other games similar to Heroquest, although there wasn't many similar at the time, has spawned what we have now. You know, would Gloomhaven exist? Would Descent exist if it weren't for Heroquest? Okay, so we got very, very fond memories of it, and there is a mod on Tabletop Simulator, and I thought, I'll tell you what, I'm doing a lot of online plays using Tabletop Simulator, let's do one for Heroquest. So I got together with a group of people. Rick, one of my local friends, played the Overlord, is it the Overlord or the Evil Mage, whatever, and dressed up and everything else. It was a fun stream, okay? We had fun because of what we were doing, and we were talking to each other, we were chatting and everything else. That's the part that was fun. But the game itself was worse than I remembered. Now, I should have known, because it is an old style game, but there are some old style games that I've gone back to and gone, oh yeah, you know. And as I mentioned earlier on, I've gained more appreciation for games that I formerly didn't like the Dresden File card game. And there's another one coming up that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But it was just, I mean, okay, it was roll 2 dice and that's how many spaces you can move, and then you can attack, but if you're not next to anything, you can't do anything, okay? There was a lot of mechanisms in there which were just random. Roll dice for this, roll dice for that, roll dice for this. But there was gameplay issues as well, because there were fights taking place in a corridor and you can't even trace line of sight. All the characters were melee and single corridor, and one person was blocking another person, and 3 of us couldn't do anything, and it was just, there wasn't much to the game. So it's not something I'm going to go out and play again. Now, I am still keen on going back to some other older games, you know, like Space Hulk or some of the other older ones that are available on Tabletop Simulator, but that's not a game that I was going to go back to. And I was kind of like, as I say, I was a bit disappointed, because I thought, oh, this might actually be really good fun, a bit of nostalgia. And then we might actually start a campaign and we might play a bit more and we might do this and we might do that. Nah, it went on for hours. It was quite boring, the game itself, and it was just roll dice, hit monster, roll dice, hit monster. And yeah, there just wasn't enough to it. Now, I then looked at Advanced Heroquest and people said, oh, no, you're going to have the same problems with that. It's kind of, yeah. But somebody told me that Warhammer Silver Tower, I think, might be something that I want to look into, but we will see. We will see. Anyway, on the 22nd, I did a solo playthrough of Mage Knight. Now, Mage Knight, my #1 favourite game of all time, that I don't really play that much because I don't have time to play it. So on the 22nd, I was doing a solo playthrough. This wasn't a sponsored stream. This was voted on by my Patreon supporters. Each month, I do a vote, and my Patreon supporters vote on which solo game they want me to play in the month, and they voted on Mage Knight. And it was great to play it again, and it confirmed that this game is just fantastic, and I just love this game. And yeah, I would like to play it more if given time. It was a bit embarrassing because I went into it and my brain was full of so many rules of so many different games that unfortunately some of the key rules for Mage Knight had fallen out. And I thought, going into it, I thought, oh yeah, I know how that works and I know how that works. But then when I started playing, I was like, oh, wait a minute. You move and then you attack and you then move again. Really fundamental rules questions that I'd forgotten. Bearing in mind, for the first 2 years when Mage Knight came out, I was generally regarded as the world's rules expert on Mage Knight, because I helped with the rule book. I'd played it a lot. I ran demos of it a lot. I created the FAQ. I did all of that. So it was a bit embarrassing to forget some key rules. But yeah, it was good to play it. That's on the channel now. I actually played through the scenario, which I wrote. So for Shades of Tesla, which was the last expansion that came out for the base game, if you have the Ultimate Edition, you've got all of the expansions put together. But yeah, I did the Lost Relic, which was a short scenario which plays over like 3 days or 2 days, 3 rounds, something like that. I think it's just 1 day. Yeah, it's 2 rounds, 1 day and 1 night. Yeah. And I didn't succeed, although messages on the chat afterwards, so comments on the video afterwards, have said, oh, Paul, if you'd have done this and done this, you could have done something better. But thank you to everybody for joining in with me that afternoon, because it was really good to play the game with people joining in on the chat. So thank you very much. On the 29th, speaking of solo games of fantasy adventures, kill monsters, hexes and everything else, I did Euthia, Torment of Resurrection. And this is another game, like Mini Express, that I had done a playthrough of already. And then near the end of the Kickstarter campaign, because there is a solo mode for this game, I said to them, do you want me to cover the solo mode as well? And I was actually very keen on trying this game again. So I did a solo playthrough of Euthia, Torment of Resurrection, again, near the end of the campaign. The campaign is now over. The campaign has done really well. Very happy for them because they're first time publisher, first time designer. They've been working on this game for years. And yeah, that solo playthrough is on the channel. I didn't succeed. It's really tough. And the character that I chose is a really tough one to play. Yeah, so that video's on the channel. That was the 29th. That is a solo playthrough of Euthia. So then I went downstairs and set it up and played through it again. Not the same day, but a couple of days later. And I don't have this recorded, but I actually think I've played it again since. Can't quite remember. But anyway, now I don't like to give my personal opinion on games that I'm professionally involved in. And they commissioned me to do the tutorial and playthrough video at the start of the Kickstarter campaign. And since then, they have actually asked me to help them professionally with the rulebook. So we're going to be starting to work on that. I've got a meeting with them tomorrow. And me and my team are going to be working on the rulebook for that over the next month or so. So I don't normally give my personal opinion on games. People ask me all the time. They say, oh, Paul, you did the video, but what do you think of it? And it's like, well, I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, the game's fantastic. Yeah, you should go out and buy it, because then other people will look at that and go, well, wait a minute, Paul, didn't they pay you to make a video? And now you're saying the game's really good and we should go out and buy it. So that looks suspicious. And if I say, no, actually, I think the game's not very good, when the company is actually paying me to write their rulebook. Now, I don't have to like a game to write the rulebook for the game, but if I publicly say that I don't like the game, that's just not something that I do. So for a game that I'm professionally involved in, I don't generally give my personal opinions on the game. Generally. I break that rule a number of times. But what I will say about Euthia is that I chose to go downstairs and play it twice again more solo on my own, because I was keen to explore the game and learn more about it. Anyway, next up, 5th of June. So we're into June now. And this is the first, I did this on the 5th of June and again on the 12th of June, GLEN 2. Why have I done it twice? Because it's the game that I'm reviewing this month. So again, my Patreon supporters, as well as voting on what solo game they want me to play, they also vote on which games they want me to review. And I've actually cut that number of reviews down now from 2 down to 1. And I'll explain why more later on. But the video that they've asked me, the game that they've asked me to review this month is GLEN 2. Chronicles is the full name of the game. So I've done some videos on it because I'm going to play it. So I might as well stream it. So on the 5th, we did was it a 3-player game? I think it was a 3-player game, or was it a 4-player game? I can't remember now. Anyway, we did a game using Chronicle number 1, because I'd already done a video on this back in November where me and Paul played a 2-player game using Chronicle 2. So I think it was a 4-player game that we did using Chronicle 1, which is the boats. And then on the 12th, I did a 3-player game using Chronicle 3. Now, the game that I ran on the 5th was me with the physical game set up in front of me. People were telling me what to do and I was moving all of the pieces around. The one that I did on the 12th was using Tabletopia, because there is an official implementation of GLEN 2 on Tabletopia, which only has the first 3 Chronicles in it, which is good because I needed to use Chronicle 3. So yeah, did that. Yeah, that was with Monique and Naveen from Before You Play, who are other content creators and Patreon supporters. So yeah, thank you very much, you two, for joining it in. That was a really good game. Really enjoyed that. And yeah, I'll be doing a review of GLEN. Well, it should be this month, but to be honest, I'm probably not going to be able to fit it in now because this month ends next week. So yeah, I'm going to probably bump that forward, but I will be doing a review of GLEN 2 soonish. Okay, so on the 11th of June, this is Thursday the 11th of June, I did something that I've been planning to do for quite a while, which was to play a multiplayer game of Pathfinder adventure card game, 2nd edition. I'm calling it 2nd edition. It's actually called Core Set. Now, I've done some videos on Pathfinder the adventure card game last year. I did a whole bunch of them. I think I did 4 or 5 videos or something like that. Some of them were solo, some of them were with other people. But it's a game which I've wanted to go back to. I've wanted to carry on playing it, and I want to play it more. And then a couple of things happened within a week. I found out that there was an official, sanctioned by the Pathfinder Society and Paizo, tabletop simulator mod of the game, created by Tyler from Paizo. I think he's from Paizo. Anyway, he's associated with them. Pretty sure he is. But they do stipulate that you shouldn't just go onto Tabletop Simulator and play this for free. The mod is available for free, but they have said somebody needs to own a physical copy of the game for you to play it online, okay? Which is fair enough. They don't want, obviously, everybody just to say, oh, we don't buy your game anymore because we can just buy it for free. There was that. Now, another thing that's been brewing in the back of my mind for about 2 or 3 months now is Pep McDonald, Board Pep on Twitter, who used to be on Watch It Played. And I've met him once or twice, I think, at conventions, and we've chatted, and I thought, okay, so he's not doing Watch It Played anymore, but I really liked the content that he makes. I'd like to have him on the channel as a guest. I just don't really know. I don't know how to ask him. I don't know how to approach him. What if he says no, etc., etc. Bearing in mind there's that, and I want to do more coverage for Pathfinder card game. Then I saw he tweeted out about the Pathfinder card game, saying he loved the previous version. At which point I went, hello, do you want to do a video with me? And we made it happen. So this was last week. This was Thursday of last week. 4-player game. And this has been weeks of preparation and planning. It's been so much work behind the scenes to get this going. But it was me, it was Pep, it was Mike Dennis from Ready Steady Play, and it was Jonathan from the Hexy Beast, who is a fairly new content creator as well. And the 4 of us played it on Tabletop Simulator. That is on the channel now if you're interested in watching how it plays. Thankfully, we wrapped it up in about 2 hours or so, and we didn't make that many rules mistakes. There were a few people from the Pathfinder Discord channel who popped into the chat to help out with the rules, so thank you very much. We are going to carry on. I have messaged them, and the plan is that we're going to do another one next week. But we failed the scenario. Now, when you fail a scenario in a game like that, or in a game like Gloomhaven or whatever, you replay it. And none of us want to do that, because I have the core set, which is 9 scenarios, all what part of one big adventure path. Then I've got Curse of the Crimson Throne, that's 24 scenarios, I think it's 24 scenarios. I don't want to have to replay it. I want to move on to other stuff. I want to see more stuff. I want the story to progress. So we've all decided that win or lose, we are going to count the scenario and we're going to carry on. But then what we're going to do is we're just going to count our score at the end and see how many we get out of 9. So we're going to treat it as a success so we can move on, we get the reward, but we're not going to put 1 tick on our little box. So that's what we're going to do. Yeah, Pathfinder adventure card game, a little bit like the Dresden Files card game. Absolutely hated the 1st edition, but second edition fixes a lot of the problems. But the real core fundamental issues with the game that I had when I played 1st edition have not gone away in 2nd edition, but I'm now loving the game. Why? Lots of reasons that I'll probably go into more detail in a later video when we've got more time, but I've evolved as a person, as a gamer. I accept those issues in the game, and I just deal with it now and I get on with it. And it now doesn't stop me from enjoying the game. Even though I see the problems and I'm like, oh, roll to resolve, massively random, this, that and the other, I'm now really enjoying the game and appreciating it. So that's Pathfinder the adventure card game. More content on that coming on the channel soon, and that is not sponsored at all. So that is purely funded through the Patreon campaign. On the 15th, so this is Monday of this week, I did a live stream of a solo game of Monumental. Monumental is designed by Matthew Dunstan, published by Funforge. I've had my eye on this game for a while, and my team was involved in the original printing of the rulebook, although having read the rulebook again afterwards, and then speaking to my team, and I'm like, oh, this rule book's got a few things in it. And they went, yeah, because they changed something afterwards. So anyway, I'm not washing my hands of it completely, but I'm speaking to Matthew and I'm going to try to get them to make some changes for the second edition of the rulebook because it was a bit confusing in places. And that's sometimes what happens when you work on a game and all you've got is the document and you don't have the physical components and you're not able to play the game. You can't match the things up. So things look right in the document, but then when you actually play it, you're like, well, wait a minute, this doesn't work right. Anyway. Did that on Monday. That's on the channel now. This was planned 3 months ago, or even maybe 4 months ago. It was originally going to be a multiplayer playthrough with people coming round and we were going to play it. And of course, that can't happen because of coronavirus. So I did a solo playthrough instead. Thankfully, there is a solo mode in the game. And also, in the solo mode of the game, what you do on your turn is exactly what you would do on anybody else's turn. It's just the AI player does something different. So yeah, that's Monumental, that's on the channel now, and that is live on Kickstarter because they've gone back to Kickstarter to basically offer it again, and they've included a new expansion. Now, when they first did the Kickstarter on Monday, you could only buy everything. You couldn't just get the base game. They come under a lot of criticism for that. They've now made it so you can just buy the base game. Yeah, so they asked me to create the video and we did it to tie in with the launch of the Kickstarter campaign. I don't think I'll do it now at exactly the same launch time because I don't think that worked well. People who were interested in the game and backing the game and taking part in the Kickstarter comments were busy there. And the publisher and the designer weren't able to join in the chat because they were busy on the Kickstarter page. So I think in future I'm going to say we shouldn't do it at the time of launch. We should do it maybe an hour or two before or an hour or two afterwards. Rather than at exactly the same time. Anyway, that's Monumental. That's on the channel now. And finally, just a few hours ago, I did a solo playthrough of Solar Storm. Solar Storm is a game which I did the how to play video for in the last few weeks. And I was very keen on actually doing a playthrough of it. And it has a solo mode. So I've done that this afternoon as well. That's on the channel now if you want to see that. And that is all of the games that I've played in the last 5 weeks. And I know I said this a lot, but most of them I've done content for because if I'm going to sit at home and play a game, I might as well be live streaming it out. The only games which I've played which were not live streamed were Tainted Grail with Vicky and a couple of solo playthroughs of Euthia. Everything else board game wise that I've played in the last 5 weeks has been live streamed. So that content is all there for you if you want to watch it. Right, moving on to other content that I have created in the last month that wasn't a game that I've played. I did a how to play video for Undaunted North Africa. That is on the channel now if you want to see it. Undaunted North Africa is the second in a series of games. David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin, and they've come together and they've designed this game, and there's Undaunted Normandy and Undaunted North Africa, and the third in the series is that is on the channel now, and it is a how to play video. So it is one of my, scripted, filmed, edited, structured, concise, hopefully. I haven't actually played the game yet. I want to play the game, and I'm hoping to play the game at some point. We're talking about it, possibly playing over Tabletop Simulator with David, but yeah, we haven't managed to make that happen yet. So if you want to learn how to play Undaunted, that is on the channel now. And as I mentioned, how to play Solar Storm. I just mentioned it. There is a video on how to play Solar Storm, designed by Aidan Lowther, published by DRESDEN Games in the UK. It was a successful Kickstarter. It's being delivered to backers right now. Some people have got it in the last few days. Other people are due to get it in the next few days. But my how to play video on that is online. Reviews. I did the review of Trickerion. That's on the channel now. And I did the review of Lancaster as well. And I think I did another one. I'm sure I've done another one in the last 5 weeks, and that is NEMO'S War. And I forgot to add it to this list. So yeah, NEMO'S War, I'm going to add it now and then read it out. Oh, I did a review of NEMO'S War in the last 5 weeks. So I did a review of Trickerion and I did a review of NEMO'S War. Both of them are almost 30 minutes long, which is too long. Now, I've had a lot of feedback from people saying, yes, Paul, we like the fact that you go more in depth into them, but 30 minutes was too long for a review. I wasn't happy with them being 30 minutes. I'd already chopped the Trickerion one down from 40, but I felt I had a lot to say on it. But I accept the feedback, and my reviews from now on, I'm going to aim for a maximum of 20 minutes, okay? Unless there's something extraordinary, because NEMO'S War also came in at about 30 minutes. Now, I'm happy with both of those reviews. I'm just not happy, and I'm happy with the content. I'm just not happy by the length of them. The NEMO'S War specifically, Alan, who's kind of the designer of second edition, developer of second edition, Alan Emmerich, wrote back to me and said, Paul, great review, liked your comments, they were all fair, and I'm happy to tell you what you're doing wrong in the game in terms of strategy, because there's a lot of strategy in there, even though there's a lot of random elements. Anyway, yeah, so those reviews are on the channel. Then I did a review of Lancaster, which I was much more happier with, because it was 15 minutes, and I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. A couple of people have said, oh, you didn't cover this bit, and you didn't cover that bit. And I'm like, no, you didn't. You're right. I didn't cover that bit because I didn't really have much to say about that bit. I covered what I liked about it. I covered what I didn't like about it. I covered all the usual stuff. So I feel the Lancaster review, 15 minutes, I think that was a good one. So they were the reviews that I did in the last few weeks, trying to catch up. I am now mostly caught up with my reviews, but if I don't do the Glen More one next week, then I will be behind on my reviews again, and I'll do Glen More soon. Other things that I did, I also, and I should have included this in the games that I played, because there was a weekend a few weekends ago where it was supposed to be the UK Games Expo. Now, UK Games Expo was, first of all, delayed to August, and then it was cancelled. But a lot of people, the last weekend in May, were due to go to UK Games Expo, and a lot of people were a bit disappointed that they weren't able to go. So the Board Game Trading in Chat UK Facebook group organised a bit of a virtual convention over that weekend, and I offered to give up some of my time to basically demo some games online. Not really demo games, but play some games. And CGE, Czech Games Edition, are working on a way that you can play Codenames online. It's currently in beta. They haven't officially released it yet, but they gave me permission to use it and do videos on it. So there are 4 videos on my channel, Code Games Game 1, 2, 3 and 4 over that weekend using the digital adaptation of it. It's basically, it's a website. Playing against some of the people. 2 of the games were okay, you know, you get one, we get one, you get one, we get one, a little bit boring. 2 of the games were absolutely fantastic, you know, really, really close, very, very tense, very exciting. That's how it goes with Codenames. I've also done a video of the E-RAPTOR insert. So E-RAPTOR is a company that makes wooden inserts for board games, and they contacted me a month or so ago, and they're basically doing obviously a marketing drive at the moment, because I've seen a number of other content creators also producing videos for them at the moment. So they reached out to me along with a number of other people. They have given me some of their products, and in return I said I would cover them on the channel. No money has changed hands, and they were happy for me to just mention them. But what I've done is I've actually done a time-lapse video of me and Vicky building the insert for Tainted Grail. So that's on the channel now if you want to see a 5-minute video of us putting together an E-RAPTOR insert. But I'm also going to be showing you them in another part of this video once I've got them. I'm going to be showing you the completed Tainted Grail insert and what it is and how it looks. And I'm going to be doing some more insert stuff for them later on this month, maybe next month. Also, other content that I've been making, and there's going to be more of this week, is Tainted Grail, the digital adaptation. Tainted Grail, the board game, is having a digital computer game, and it is going to Steam Early Access tomorrow. Okay, so I'm recording this on the 17th. You're probably not going to watch this video until the 18th, because I'm not going to get it edited until then. So it's actually later on today. So at 10 o'clock on Thursday, the 18th of June, I'm going to be doing some digital coverage of the game. However, I already have a pre-release early access version, and they allowed me to start doing some coverage for that. So the Tainted Grail digital version is going to have 2 modes of play. It's going to have a campaign mode and a conquest mode. And I have done 4 videos online of me playing through the conquest mode while it's in this pre-release, before even early access, right? Some of them were really bugged, but you get an idea of how it plays. Tomorrow night, so on the 18th of June, I'm actually going to be starting to show the campaign mode, which I have access to, but they've told me I'm not allowed to show any of it. So that's going to be happening, Thursday night of this week. So let's talk about Tainted Grail now. And let's talk about the digital version uses the same setting and the same characters and some of the same situations as the board game. And it's the same lore, and the overall story is the same. sort of, but it's very, very different. You're not going to have any spoilers, I don't think. If you play the digital version, you're not really going to spoil anything from the main game, I don't think. So let's talk about the main game. So Tainted Grail, at the moment, is my most enjoyed game at the moment. And I know it's come under a lot of criticism from a number of people, and some very big popular reviewers have panned the game and slated the game, and that's, if they want to do that, that's absolutely fine. We're all entitled to our own opinions, and I'm not saying they're wrong, because some of the criticisms against the game I absolutely agree with. So before you throw things at the camera and say, Paul, Tainted Grail's rubbish, why are you enjoying it so much? We're playing on story mode. Okay, now story mode is an official variant included in the game, and initially I didn't want to play on story mode. I wanted to play the game as it was presented. And we almost packed it up. After chapter 2, we almost packed it up and said, we're never going to play this game again. We're now playing story mode, which basically reduces the grind element of the game a lot. We're still playing the game. I mean, it's called story mode, but we are still playing the game. We are still having combat encounters. It is still a game. It's just with a reduced level of grind. Specifically, because there's a few changes in story mode that are included in the game, but specifically, the main change is everything that is based on player count, you reduce the number of players by 1, okay? And the cost in the game to relight the menhirs is huge. And when we played chapter 2, we spent hours going round and round and round farming. We had to get food, then we had to get magic, then we had to get, oh, we needed wealth. Where do we get wealth? We have to go there. Oh, we have another encounter here. We have another encounter here. Oh, we went round and round and round for hours, literally just grinding to get the resources to relight the menhir. And then we're like, oh, right, now we've got to go there. Oh, now we need to light another menhir. Oh, we don't have that. Okay, so we grind to get a bit more, we get more resources. Now the first one's gone out. Oh no, how are we going to do this? And it went on for ages. And as I say, we almost stopped playing because of that. Story mode means the cost to relight the menhirs for us playing a 2-player game is halved. And all of a sudden, now that we're playing story mode, we're like, all right, so we get these resources and we relight the menhir. Oh, and now we've actually got time to do other stuff as well. So it's not just that. And I'm planning on writing this up as like a Google document of like beginner's tips or something like that, because you have to approach Tainted Grail in a different way. And we've had to learn a lot, not just the rules of the game, but the way that you play the game. Okay, it isn't like normal games. And we were coming across encounters and we were like, oh, another encounter. And we fight them and we spend energy and we lose energy and we get damaged. And in this game, you heal 1 per day. It's realistic healing. You don't suddenly zoom to full hit points at the end of an encounter. It takes you days to heal, and you've got to rest and you've got to eat food and you've got to do all of this stuff. So you go into a fight and you lose a couple of health, and then you have another fight on the same day and you lose another couple of health. And suddenly you're like, well, wait a minute, we're almost dead. And we've hardly done anything, and we didn't really get much in the way of rewards for those monsters. Yeah, we might have got 1 rep or 1 wealth or something like that. One of the key things that we learn in the game is that you don't have to fight these monsters. And at the start of the game starts off a bit too hard because you're weak and you're fighting these monsters and you're looking at them. What you need to do, and I'm going to put this in the document if I ever get to writing it, every time you encounter a monster in Tainted Grail, you need to look at its reward and go, is this worth it? Because if you look at it and you say reward 1 rep, well, do we really need that right now? No. Okay, right. Penalty for avoiding it, lose an energy. Oh, okay, right, well, let's avoid it then. So you do. Every encounter you have, certainly at the start of the game, you need to look at it. And as soon as we started doing that, it was like, do we want to fight this? Well, it's worth 3 food and we really need food. Yeah, okay, let's fight it. It's worth taking the damage to get the food because we need it. Yeah, narrative, and again, I know some people have criticised the narrative in the game, and maybe I'm stupid or maybe I'm easily pleased. The narrative in the game, I'm finding fantastic. I think it's brilliantly written. I think the prose is really good. I think it is very, very thematic. It's also not too long-winded. And I know a few games that I've played where the narration or the text just goes on and on and on with so much detail, and it's generally pointless. In this game, it's just the right length, and it really captures the feel of the game. The setting of this game I absolutely love. the setting of this game. It's absolutely captured my imagination. Yeah, I think it's brilliant. The whole sort of combination of King Arthur with magic and weird stuff going on, the fact that there's this weirdness and people are in trouble and the menhirs are going dark and the world's in trouble. It's super atmospheric. Yeah, I could do like a half-hour conversation about this game, but I won't. Anyway, Tainted Grail, loving the board game, and more stuff coming soon from me on the digital version. Right, okay, so I think that is all of the games that I've played, all of the content that I've made. I'm now going to talk briefly about stuff that's coming up in the next few weeks. This week is a crazy busy week. I'm going to put a picture on screen right now of here's the stuff that I've planned for this week. It looks a lot, and it is a lot. I'm doing a lot of small videos. I did Solar today. I've got a couple of videos tomorrow. I've got some more on Friday. I've got Too Many Bones with Jeremy Howard, which I'm super looking forward to. I'm going to get to play Ashes. Well, I'm teaching somebody how to play Ashes on Saturday. On Sunday, I'm doing Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, with Isaac Childress. That's happening on Sunday. So yeah, lots of content coming up on the channel. And almost all of it is supported purely through the Patreon campaign. So those videos that you see on there, Monumental was sponsored, I'll tell you that, okay? But everything else is all purely funded through the Patreon campaign. I'm not being paid anything to do any of those other videos at all. I'm doing them because I want to produce content. And in the case of certainly Swatch and Solar, I wanted to support the designers. I wanted to support the designers because they are missing out on UK Games Expo, which for a small publisher, that would have been a way that they could have sold and made some money, and they're missing out on that. So I contacted Scott for Minerva Games and Aidan for Solar, and I said, look, I am happy to do a playthrough video of your game on the channel, no cost, because I just want to help and support you. If you are a publisher watching this, please don't reach out to me and say, oh, Paul's doing lots of free content now. Because I do need to limit the amount of free content that I'm doing and balance it with the paid work. But this week I just wanted to do that. And again, the Gloomhaven on Sunday, that's not paid for. I just want to do that because, you know, I want to support Isaac and show that, because I think without me doing that video, I don't think the game's going to sell very well. Anyway, yeah, so crazy busy week. Next week, I've even got stuff planned for next week. I've got Empire Divided on Monday. Again, not sponsored. Going to do that with David Thompson. He's going to teach me how to play. We're doing that Monday. Pathfinder, which is probably going to be on Thursday. And there's a couple of other things as well that I've planned for next week, but they're not 100% fixed yet. Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective is getting a new box set, The Baker Street Irregulars. I'm going to be covering that on the channel at the end of this month, and I'm actually going to be doing a live playthrough of a demo scenario. So they have published a demo scenario, which is kind of a warm-up to the game, so it's not going to spoil anything from the game itself. It is going to spoil it from the demo scenario, but it'll give you an idea of how it plays. I've been a Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective fan since 1982, okay? And I've been playing the game for the last... That's a long time, isn't it? Yeah, that I'm just adding up and I'm thinking, is that 38 years? And I'm like, yeah, that's 38 years. So yeah, fantastic game. I've been involved in the new version. And yeah, this is box 4 Baker Street Irregulars, which is coming out from Space Cowboys soon. So yeah, we're doing that. There's also going to be some coverage of Perseverance, the new big Mind Clash game. That's going to be coming to the channel at the start of July, so probably before the next video log. So watch this space for that. And GridCon. Let's talk a little bit now about GridCon, because GridCon 2 was the convention that I run, which was going to happen on the 26th to the 28th of June. So at the end of this month was going to be GridCon 2. We've had to cancel it because of the current situation. And GridCon 3 was going to be in November. So we were actually originally thinking, oh, do we just delay it by a month? But then it became clear that this situation is going to go on for a while. And they were saying, well, maybe we can delay it till September. And I thought, I don't want to move GridCon 2 to September and then do GridCon 3 in November. So ultimately, we cancelled GridCon 2. Now, and now when GridCon 3 was to happen, that is now GridCon 2. So we've delayed GridCon 2, cancelled it, delayed it, whichever. GridCon 2 is now taking place at the end of November. GridCon 3 will be next year. But a lot of people were looking forward to coming to GridCon too. So I decided I'm going to run a virtual convention over that weekend, and it's going to be a small thing, and I'm just going to mention it to a few people, and it's going to be nothing big, and we're just going to get together with a few people and play some games online. That was the original plan. Now, at the real GridCon, I do a charity raffle. And last year we raised, at GridCon 1, we raised £1,833 for the Chrysalis Youth Empowerment Network. So huge thank you to all of the publishers who donated prizes and individuals who donated things for me to give away. And thank you to everybody who took part in that charity raffle. We raised an enormous amount of money for charity. And I wasn't going to do one because organising a charity raffle is a huge amount of work, and I just don't have the time at the moment to do it. So I wasn't going to do anything. So I spoke to Ben Parkinson from the Chrysalis Youth Empowerment Network, CYEN, and I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago and I said, Ben, GridCon 2's been cancelled. I'm still going to do a charity raffle for you in November, but I'm probably not going to be able to do one in the summer. Now, Ben didn't do anything to try and convince me otherwise, but what he did tell me about was the current situation going on over there in Africa. So the Chrysalis Youth Empowerment Network, for those who don't know, is a charity organisation that empowers youths, as the name suggests, in Africa. Now, they empower youths in a number of different areas and train them up on, management skills, leadership and organisation and everything else. But there's a big board game side of it. And the first time I saw about this charity, I saw kids in Africa teaching other kids in Africa how to play games, and the games that they were teaching them were medium to heavy Euro games. Never forget one of the first photos I saw, and they were playing Madeira. And I spoke to Ben and I'm like, they were really playing Madeira? No, I'm not saying anything by this, but I struggle with Madeira, and these are like 15, 16-year-old kids, and he's like, yeah, they get it. And I'm like, wow, this is impressive. So yeah, there's a big board game side to it, and I've been supporting the charity for quite a while. Anyway, long and short of it is, I am doing a charity raffle, okay? So because of the situation out there at the moment in Africa, which is pretty dire, we're going to be doing a charity raffle at Virtual GridCon. So there are two things happening here, and these are happening in 9 days' time. Virtual GridCon. It is a virtual gaming convention which I am running. It's free to attend. It will be organised via a Discord server, and basically you can just turn up. We have a Google sheet where you can look on there and see what games people are planning. There's a number of designers that are demoing their games: Vitor Lacerda, David Terzi. There's a whole bunch of other designers as well that are going to be demoing some of their games. So if you want to see what games they're demoing, that's all on the sheet now. You can book a space, or you can just turn up at the weekend and just pop on the Discord channel and say, oh, hello, is anybody interested in playing a game? How you play the game is completely up to you. You can use Tabletopia, Tabletop Simulator, Board Game Arena, Yucata, whatever. Completely up to you. All I'm doing is I'm putting the infrastructure in place for you to be able to meet other people, find a game to play, and then go and play it. So a couple of people are running role-playing games over the weekend using Roll-D20 or something else. So there's a lot of stuff happening. As I say, designers and publishers are going to be demoing games. Alicat Games are going to be demoing their games. I'm hoping Bez from Stuff by Bez, she's going to be demoing her games over the weekend. So I'm contacting a lot of publishers and designers basically saying, you can have a demo space for free. You can demo your game. You just need to provide the people to run the demo, and I'll provide the people to play the game. Board and Dice are going to be involved. There's quite a few people who are going to be involved in it. So that's one thing that's happening. If you're interested in that, the best place for information is the GridCon Facebook group. It's a Facebook group called GridCon. Go on there, join it. All the information is on there. If you're not on Facebook, the GridCon website, which is gridcon.co.uk, I will be putting more information on there maybe today. But yeah, go on there or just drop me a message. Ideally, exhaust the other possibilities first, because I'm getting a lot of messages at the moment. But if you want to take part in Virtual GridCon, you can. That's one thing. The charity raffle is kind of a separate thing. Now, the two things are combined because I'm running them and I'm running them at the same time. But you don't have to attend Virtual GridCon to do the charity raffle. and you don't have to do the charity raffle in order to attend GridCon. Although Virtual GridCon is free to attend, I would like it if you did attend to donate to the charity raffle, because that's only fair, really, because a lot of work has gone into this and is going into this. At the moment, I've, probably about 25 hours of planning and prep has gone into it, and I'm not getting paid for any of this, so I'm giving up my own time to do it. So hopefully people who attend Virtual GridCon will also donate to the charity, but they are separate things. And the charity raffle is going to be run. There is going to be a Just Giving page. Again, full details on the GridCon website and the GridCon Facebook group, but I'm doing a charity raffle. In the last few days, the amount of publishers who I have contacted who have come back to me with a list of games that they want to donate, I'm going to put it on screen now, right? I'm going to put on screen now the current list of games that are there in the charity raffle. And I am going to be contacting more people over the next week. And if you are a publisher and you are watching this and you want to donate something, or even if you're not a publisher, even if you've got something that you want to donate to the charity raffle, please let me know and I will add it to this list. So anyway, that is happening at the end of this month. I really would appreciate any shares about the charity raffle nearer the time. Not now, but certainly when the charity raffle opens, when it starts. If you are watching this, please share it. Tell people about it, get people to donate. Yeah, so that's that. That's the charity raffle. Right, now, what else am I going to talk now? What am I going to talk about now? Let's talk, I've got a few more bits that I can talk about now. And the first one is the Patreon update. So each month I give an update on where we are with the Patreon campaign. And just to remind everybody that this video and a lot of the other content that I'm making, I don't know what percentage it is, but it's a lot, is only funded through Patreon. If you are in a position to support me, and I know times are tricky, then even $1 a month actually does go a long way, because 100 people supporting me at $1 a month is actually good. It's good for me because it helps me buy new equipment, keep the channel going, pay for all of the stuff. And it's also covering, I said I've put 25 hours of prep work into GridCon that isn't paid for. The Patreon support, the Patreon money that I get is effectively paying the bills while I do the other stuff. So yeah, thank you very much to all of my Patreon supporters for, keeping me going with all of this. And if you are in a position to support me, great. On screen now is a list of all of the new supporters that I've had in May. Now, again, I'm recording this on the 17th of June. If you have started supporting me in June, your name will not appear on this list. It will appear on the list next month. Okay, so this is a list of all of the people who started supporting me in May, all of the new executive producers, the new producers, and the list of other supporters, including details of some people who have increased their pledge from a lower level. So, a massive thank you. I was expecting Patreon support to go down over the last few months with what's going on in the world. And I'm happy to say, certainly for the last 2 months, it's gone up. Now, I'm recording this again, the middle of June. June, it's gone down quite a bit. So that's where we are at the moment. But for May was quite a good month. Each month I do a contest. And last month, the contest was to win an entire 6-episode season 1 or whatever of the Detective Society. The Detective Society is a series of escape room style puzzle games. You will get, it was on Kickstarter. The Kickstarter has now finished. And basically it's a physical thing combined with a load of stuff that you will do online. And if you like puzzle games, if you like detective style games, it's that kind of thing. It's going to come in packages, 1 a month for 6 months, and it all forms part one big story. I'm involved in it professionally because I did a video for them, but they've also got me on board to do some testing of the scenarios as well. So me and Vicky have already tested chapter 1, and we've given them some feedback, and they've then fixed a number of things from that. But anyway, last month the contest was to win an entire season 1 of that, which was valued at £140. The winner was chosen, and I contacted the winner. And I'm not going to go into the details here because it's not a good story. It's a bit of a heartbreaking story, so I'm not going to talk about it here. But that copy they basically said they'd like to not accept the copy and for me to do some kind of charity raffle with it. So that's what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to do it now. I want that to be a separate thing. So rather than the charity raffle that I'm running at the end of this month, I'm going to be doing another charity raffle at some point, probably when the first box is ready to go out. And I'm going to do a charity raffle just for that, raising money for a charity that was chosen by the person who would have won it. And I'm not going to say who it was in case they don't want me to, but I basically said, okay, I will, I will not send you the game. I will raise money for charity as long as you tell me the charity that we're raising money for. So more details on that later. That'll probably be coming next month or maybe the month afterwards. But that's what's happening with that. I've picked a winner. The person who won it would like it raffled off. So yeah, somebody else is going to win a copy of the Detective Society. Now, this month's prize, I've already mentioned this. This is Mini Express. I've already mentioned this game, Mini Express. So one of my Patreon supporters this month is going to win a copy of Mini Express, and I spoke to Mo Ideas earlier on today, and it's Mini Express with the extra wooden insert. So you're going to get a copy of Mini Express, which was on Kickstarter, successfully funded. You're not going to get it now because it's not been printed yet, but when it's ready, Mo Ideas will be sending you a copy of it. Now, to enter the contest, you don't need to do anything. If you are a Patreon supporter of mine, you automatically get entered. You don't need to do anything. There's no form. There's no nothing. If you're not a Patreon supporter of mine and you want to be in with the chance, then I'm afraid you need to support me on Patreon. That is one of the perks of producer levels and above, is that you get entry into the contest. And I've been doing this every month, and I've been doing this every month now for, 18 months, maybe even 2 years. I've lost track. And every month I do this, and somebody watches this video log and contacts me and sends me an email or a message and says, Paul, you realise that what you're doing is against the Patreon terms and conditions. You shouldn't be doing it. So I'm going to say this now, and I'll probably say this again next month. Patreon have rules that you are not allowed to run raffles or contests. Okay? I know that. It's in their terms and conditions. It always was in their terms and conditions, but everybody did it anyway, including me, because everybody else was doing it. So I did it. And then when they started clamping down on it, I contacted them. And I wrote to them. And I explained to them exactly what I do, step by step, how the process works, how I pick a winner. And I said, is there anything that I can do within your terms and conditions that will allow me to carry on doing these giveaways? Because I like doing them. People like getting gifts. I'm running them fairly. It's all above board. And I was fully expecting them. This was like months ago. And I was fully expecting them to come back to me and say, I'm sorry, Paul, you're not allowed to do these contests anymore. Please stop doing them. That's what I was expecting. What I was not expecting was the email that I got from Patreon that said, we've looked at what you do and it's absolutely fine. You carry on doing them. So other content creators out there have been told you're not allowed to do it anymore and have stopped doing it. I've been given permission by Patreon. Now, they might turn around in a month's time and say, oh, Paul, we sent that email accidentally. You've got to stop now. But until they do, I'm going to carry on doing them. And then if they query it with me, I will send them this email that they sent me and say, here you go. You gave me permission to carry on doing exactly what I'm doing. So if you're one of these people watching these videos thinking Paul's a naughty boy, he's breaking the rules, there you go. There's the full story. I'm doing it because Patreon gave me permission to do it. It's a lot of hard work running these giveaways. It's a lot of time and effort to do it, and it often costs me money to send the games around the world, but I still want to do them. Speaking of Mo Ideas, they have asked me to spread the word, if you're on Facebook, about a new Facebook group. This is the Mo Ideas Mojo Facebook group. Okay, I'll put a link to it on screen and I'll show you what it is. But basically they have just started this new Facebook group and they're posting some of their behind the scenes progress. So if you're interested in some behind the scenes stuff about how things work in the games industry, certainly at Mo Ideas, yeah, check on that Facebook page. That's where they're doing it. Thank you very much to Mo Ideas for supporting me, supporting what I do. Where's the little thing they sent me? I've got a little thing that they sent me. It's a stand that says, yeah, great games reviewer or something like that. But yeah, thank you very much for their support. And that is the giveaway for this month. Okay, so just a few more things to talk about before we wrap things up. The first one is, I said, I was going to cover some information about the E-RAPTOR insert that I did for Tainted Grail. So I did the time-lapse video, was putting it together, but what I didn't do is I didn't really talk about it or show it off or anything like that in that video. That video was just literally us putting it together. Well, since we've put it together, we have played Tainted Grail 2 or 3 times since using the insert, and I just wanted to show you a bit more about the insert now. So here's some pictures on screen about the insert and how it all goes together. And when we got this insert and when we put it together, we thought, well, it looks nice, but you know, do we actually need this insert? Is it actually going to benefit us in any way other than it looking nice? However, it does. It actually, like inserts are supposed to do, I guess, is it has reduced the setup time because we put things in exactly the right places for where we are. So it allows us to save our game in whatever state we're in. And the original insert that came with the game didn't quite work right. So we had our cards split over 2 different boxes. So yeah, it is very functional. It works well. The characters, as you can see here, go in these little boxes and they're all padded. If you saw from the time-lapse video, there are felt pads that took us ages to stick on. But what they do is they protect it. Now, I think there's probably a bit too much space around these. Even though there's felt all around it, I'd still be a bit worried about carrying this box around and putting it in the back of a van. So I'd want to see, I'm probably going to pack these a little bit more, especially when I've painted them. The location cards are a really, really tight fit. It could have done with being a little bit wider, but they do just about fit, and they're sleeved. Yeah, it takes sleeved cards, as you can see. So yeah, we've now been playing the game a couple of times since having this insert. And yeah, it does help the setup time as well as it looking really nice. So that's a little bit about that. And I'm going to be covering more Tainted Grail stuff, other videos. I've got a Mage Night one, which I'm going to be putting together. I'll probably do another time-lapse video for that. I've got a generic card game organizer. I've got a dice tray that they sent me. Where's the dice tray? I can show you the dice tray now. Yeah, here's the dice tray. Okay, so this is a nice little dice tray. We didn't take long to put together at all. This was probably like 5 minutes to put together. And one of the things that I didn't mention is that it doesn't require glue. So they have this kind of, I say unique, I think it's unique, but they have this locking mechanism where they basically chop out sections within the thing so that, yeah, there's wooden clips. I'm not explaining it very well at all, but basically it's all part of the one construction. Not the one construction. You don't need glue, is what I'm trying to say. And it all fits together and it's quite nice. So this is the little dice tray that they sent me. Got a Mage Night insert, I've got a Maracaibo insert, and organizer, and I've got some other bits. I'll be doing videos for those, and I'll be talking about those more on the next video log. Other things I wanted to talk about is just stuff that we've been doing. Vicky started painting. Now, I'm going to show some pictures on screen now, but before I do, I'm going to tell you what she's been painting. Vicky's been painting the characters from Gloomhaven. I'm going to show them on screen in a few seconds' time. If you do not, because it's a bit of a spoiler, right? In Gloomhaven comes with 17 characters, 6 of them are the starting characters, and the other 11 are tucked away in boxes. It's been 3 years now nearly since this game has come out, or is it more than 3 years? It's been out a very, very long time. And people are posting pictures of these online now, and it is less of a problem. But if you don't want to see some pictures of some painted Gloomhaven miniatures of the other character classes, then look away now. I'll tell you when you can look back. But otherwise, this is what Vicky's been painting over the last few weeks. She's doing one every few days. She's really got into it. She's not an experienced painter, but you wouldn't think it from looking at these. Now, I haven't painted for quite a while for a couple of reasons, but I have recently started again and I need to get back more into painting. I've been spending the evenings for the last few weeks working and doing admin, so I've not really had much opportunity to paint. And I've painted Maggot from Tainted Grail. So this is my painted figure for Tainted Grail, which I'm really happy with. So yeah, we're both doing quite a bit of painting at the moment, and we have a whole raft of other things to paint. What have we been watching on TV? We've watched the Series 6 of Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're going to start watching Westworld Series 2. I think we might even start that tonight. But yeah, that's what we're watching on TV at the moment. And other things to mention that are on my list. 2 things. This is kind of going back to the Patreon campaign, so I should have mentioned it then. I have a Slack channel for Gaming Rules Patreon supporters. Okay, if you are a patron supporter at the $3 and above level, the month after you joined, you should have received an email invite to the Slack channel. And I found out recently that some of them didn't get through, as I've been contacted by people who should have been sent an invite to say, Paul, you keep talking about the Slack channel. Should I be on there? And I'm like, yeah, you should. I sent you an invite a few months ago. So if you are a patron supporter of mine and you want to join in on the Slack channel, it's a free system. You can join in the conversations. You can be as active or as inactive as you want to, but it's a nice little community. Lots of stuff gets discussed on there. I'm very active on there. You get all sorts of behind the scenes little conversations and things like that. Let me know. Okay, so if you're a patron supporter and you haven't had your invite, let me know and I will invite you. And the other thing is just a little plug for the BGG Guild. So Board Game Geek, Guild number 2258. And I mention this every time, but it'd be nice to get some activity on there. Yeah, I post a bit of stuff there, but it doesn't really get much engagement. I still want to use it because it's a good place for certain things. In fact, I was asked a question last week about what equipment I'm using for my filming, and I said I'll answer that on the BGG Guild because then it's there for everybody. I just haven't got around to that yet, but I will. I think that's everything. So, is that everything I wanted to talk about? I think it is. Yeah, wow. Okay, so I've done it all in one sitting. I thought I might have had to split this into two. There we go. We're done. Thank you, everybody, for watching these videos. I know a lot of people, you say this is your favourite content of the month. But yeah, I really enjoy making these now. I didn't when I first started doing them, but I do now. So yeah, thank you very much to all of my Patreon supporters for making this video and a lot of the other content that I make possible. I will see you all in a future video. And yeah, I think that's everything. So until next time, take care and thanks for watching.
Gaming Rules is proudly sponsored by Game Toppers, upgrading your gaming experience. Visit GameToppersLLC.com.